Hello and welcome to the Star Citizen Weekly Review, where we take a look at the going-ons from Star Citizen from official sources and the community as they happen in a digestible format. Updated daily and then finished off each week with a video, podcast and article for the week ending the 11th of December. Star Citizen 2.0 Alpha is now out on the live servers. If you have a game package, you can play today. This is the first iteration of the large world map Crusader and has multiple missions to do. There's first-person shooter, multi-crew, and many more features for you to try out. In 10 for the Chairman, episode 71, there is a variety of good information given. Locking ships, there will be a high degree of security than there currently is in the future. The actual mechanics have not yet been decided though about locking ships and permissions. The idea is that you can allow access to your ship from other people. There will be mechanics for forced boarding and theft though, but there will be some forms of security to prevent that. Jury rigging and repairing. You'll be able to repair damaged components like engines by swapping out parts, and there may be requirements to EVA out of your ship to do light external repair work too. There will be that small scale first person shooter repair tool for you to use, but for proper repairs you will need a crucible or to dock with some form of large station or planet. NPCs will have some form of stats as well to determine if they're any good at particular skills, so some might be bad at repair. Talking about server infrastructure for CIG, they use a lot of Cisco. Each of their studios has a replicated server setup. They use nimble storage. Every studio has a gigabit internet and is constantly sending terabytes of data to each other studio. The game currently runs on Google Compute in the cloud. Dynamic weather. Dynamic weather and lighting on planets is a longer term goal. Not going to be done in the short term, but maybe in the future. They'll be showing some interesting, maybe slightly related stuff about landing on planets and maybe something slightly related to dynamic weather on the December 16th live stream. We'll have to wait and see. Why are we starting in the Stanton system at this time? ArcCorp was one of the original landing locations they started developing with the modular building sets, so Stanton has a good mix of styled planets for players to explore, and it has a lot of possibility. Automatic battle flight patterns. So auto-maneuvering battle maneuvers aren't at the top of their list. They want to encourage players to work together or to hire NPCs, not to use augmented algorithms to try and avoid damage. Living spaces and modules. Living spaces with a bed will allow you to save the game and log out without having to be on a planet. There might be some very light RP uses too for living spaces like showers. Don't take a shower for a week. People might not want to talk to you. But the idea is with the logging out is that if you log out and you haven't got a bed, your ship would try and fly to the nearest safe dry dock or planet or somewhere to land. Horror stories. One of the big goals is to have an insane level of detail in Star Citizen, but also a lot of atmosphere and immersion. Derelicts could have alien organisms that will attack you, or on planets you might be attacked by animals. It could have a pitch black kind of theme, or a Geiger-esque xenomorph kind of theme. There should be some very good horror story, atmosphere, immersion-based stories. Insurance for outlaws and pirates. There is going to be a more outlawy insurance broker for people that don't want to deal with the UEE or pirates or outlaws. So if you are a pirate, you'll need to go to this pirate planet or a more piratey planet to get insured, and then you'll get your ship back from them. Balance for insurance is really important to CIG, obviously. They don't want it to be exploitable at all. And you will have some form of penalty for losing your ship, but it won't be too harsh. They need to balance it. Mining. There will be smaller mining rigs and equipment for other ships. So you don't have to use the Orion if you don't want to. That's more of a top tier miner. There will probably be a smaller dedicated mining ships in the future too, and potentially the same for reclaiming and salvage. There was also a special subscriber edition of Reverse the Verse where questions were just taken from subscribers. The standard cargo units of a ship is still subject to change and flux as they balance them. They are still determining whether or not you'll be able to turn off gravity in capital ships. Ships with fuel intakes, they will recharge your boost fuel to some extent. They also might be tunable to the amount of boost fuel you can take on and room and capacity you have available for boost fuel. If both sides of a caterpillar are open, it is possible that weapons can fire straight through them and bypass any form of damage onto the ship. Locking your ships and permissions will be coming in the future. Roles and permissions for ships. Ships will be basically treated like guild houses almost. Ship stations can be set to have varying levels of control and permissions. So on one station you can have access to the entire ship, whereas someone else on the same station will have access to not very much of the ship. Self-destruction. There's going to be an audible countdown alarm anytime you try and self-destruct your ship. This will give people the chance to leave or run away. There must be chances to disable that self-destruct for balance purposes. It will be the owner of the ship or designated captain that will be able to activate that self-destruct. If you want to blow up your ship immediately, then you're almost certainly going to die with the ship. If you for some reason you want to go, the ship has to explode now, you're going to die with it. It's going to be almost impossible to escape that. Internal damage in ships as well. For both, mainly for components is being worked on. Blowing up a power plant, for example, would affect a whole pipeline. So all of the other components would be affected by a power plant blowing up in some way. They might not be able to be used. They might be damaged because of the power spike, whatever. If you kill a pilot, then that ship will stop receiving inputs, but it will maintain its states. So if its thrusters were going, and you kill the pilot, it might stop the thrust, it might stop its boost because it needs to receive inputs to continually boost, but it would still keep its current course and direction. Internal damage to ships will not stop the mounting of internal components. Internal components will be susceptible to EMPs and EMP grenades, and EMPs can stop a self-destruct. Interior repair. Once exterior repairs have been completed on a ship, repair teams will be able to repair most internal damage by hand. Salvaging. You may be able to recover components and weapons for repair if they're not too badly damaged. Salvaging will take into consideration how you killed the target, the damage of the actual component that you're trying to pick up. You will be able to transport components as cargo. Most components will need to be changed out by a vendor, though, so you're not going to be able to change what loadout you've got on your ship in most situations. Sub-components are what grabby hands is going to be used for, and the balance for these kind of components and Star Citizen in general will probably never end. They're going to keep on rolling out more and more balance and changes as the game evolves. The Caterpillar and Crucible can do some light salvage work, but conceivably you could use any ship for light salvage, as you can do salvaging with your hand tools in FPS. The Reclaimer is the only ship that is currently purpose-built for salvage. The salvage document is still being written up at the moment, and salvage is either going to be turning stuff directly into scrap or materials, or reclaiming physical components. They agree that towing should be in the game, but currently there's a lot of discussion still about how it's going to work. The pipe system will be ongoing. Component refactoring is coming in the next few months, as is the weapons revamp. They want the ability to start up your ships as manually as you want. So if you want to start up in a more stealthily fashion, so that your ship is less likely to detect and you have minimal systems on, like you don't turn your shields on and that sort of thing, then you will require a different setup procedure than normal. The Carrack snub-nosed craft, the Pisces, will have some really cool stuff that will be quite useful for its role. Not all snubs will be combat craft, so you'll have the Argo, for example, which is a utility ship, and the Pisces will be exploration themed. There was a lot of information given on Around the Verse Season 2, Episode 10. From the Los Angeles office, Constellations are receiving their final polishes for 2.0. The art team is working on the Reliant, which should be possibly the next hangar-ready ship. The final balance passes on 2.0 were going on, especially with the EMP. In the Austin office, they're working on the Vanguard, Freelancer, and Xi'an Scout. Others, that they can't mention as well, and a couple of weapons. They're all in varying stages of flight or hangar readiness. They're iterating with the shop design at the moment, adding a few different things. Behaviour will be working on the front end of that. They're also establishing a technical content team across the company, joining forces for efficiency and to get a lot of stuff standardised. In Foundry 42 UK, the work with 2.0, getting all the PTU builds, has paid off, as 2.0 is now on the live servers. In Foundry 42 Germany, they're talking about AI. They've got two main areas of AI they've been looking at, fixing ship AI issues in 2.0, and the other one they've been majorly looking at is the FPS encounter communication system. Basically, how do the AI talk to each other and make each other aware of noises, enemies, shots being fired, that sort of stuff. They're working on the smuggling career at the moment, as well as weapon designs and prefab missions for the persistent universe. They're finalising the level of detail and textures on the Apocalypse Arms Size 4 Death Ballistic Gatling Gun. That should be in the game soon, hopefully. Cinematics pipeline is getting a lot more refinement. The engine, they're looking at lots more stabilisation for 2.0. And they're also working on a lot more that they can't tell us, but we will see that in the near future. In and around the verse interview with Tony Zerovic, the director of the Persistent Universe, they talked about Nyx, the landing zone, and the near future of Star Citizen. Nyx will likely be showing up as the next milestone after the shopping update, and Nyx is kind of been largely done for quite a while. The production on it is still being completed though. In the first iteration, you'll access Nyx via the elevator in your hangar, or via the main title screen. Later, you'll be able to travel to it in space. You're in an asteroid in Nyx. It is an asteroid base. Nyx has three major functioning areas: a business and marketplace kind of secure area with security that patrols it, a more slumsy area with no security to patrol it that's been taken over by lots of random people that might want to live there. Go further and there's an excavation area where the asteroid has been previously mined. This is where that you could find black market or much more hardened criminals hiding out. It's not patrolled by any form of security at all, and it totally could be running rampant and rioting there. In Nyx, you'll be able to purchase or sell items and then also choose their delivery locations. It doesn't have to be delivered to your person, it could be onto a ship or a hangar that you own. Shopping-wise, Nyx has a range and mix of shops. There's a giant grand bazaar area with lots of travelling merchants. There you could buy stuff like alcohol, plants, seeds, food, souvenirs, lots of small items, as well as information. There are more established shops on Nyx too, in the style of ArcCorp's Area 18. The next planet available after Nyx will be Hurston, then Crusader, then Microtech. Past the Nyx milestone is the AI stuff, though we'll be getting smaller AI updates in the meantime, but eventually we'll get a giant AI big update. And in the future, they do want up to 90 AIs being able to run around the screen in the future without having too much damage to your CPU. There will be a huge increase in the number of players, around 60 in the near future too, and they will iteratively try and add more and more. There was an ATV behind the scenes look at Nyx as well with Rob Renegar, Senior Technical Designer. The interview goes into a lot of detail about the layout and design of Nyx, and it's worth watching the video if you want to see more there, as it adds a lot to the interview that I can't really put into notes form. This week's MVP was Jim for his Star Citizen P72 parody advert. And this week's art sneak peek was some more of the Freelancer interior rework. On December the 11th, Reverse the Verse, we've got a small amount of other useful information that we haven't mentioned previously. This month's subscriber flare is the Aurora LN model. The Unmelt tool is still being developed. Javelins and some of the other larger ships are going to go on sale during the holiday livestream on Wednesday, the 16th of December at 7 PM UTC. All loaner ships are going to be for flight only. They're not going to be viewable or explorable in your hangar. They're working on a new ship status page that will also include the jump classes of all of the ships. The shipyard is the new section on the forums for talking just about ships in Star Citizen, how to balance them, what you want from them, lots of different stuff there. CIG want constructive feedback as much as possible on ships. The shipyard is the place to do this. Squadron 42 will be out before the Star Citizen Persistent Universe is officially out, and pilot permissions for ships and stations will come later. There is a load of information about the Star Citizen 2.0 live release. There's patch notes, known issues, and features documents. I will link them all in the description below. As I said, the Aurora LN is the December subscriber flare. You can also, at the moment, vote for Star Citizen as the most anticipated MMO of 2016. I'll put a link to that in the description as well. And you can also vote for CIG as the best MMO studio of the year. The Star Citizen November monthly report is also out now, and we will get a dedicated video to that up during the week. Anyway, guys, that's it from the weekly review this week. Please don't forget to check out our news tomorrow. That will just be a recap of the headlines and anything else that we've missed. And next week, again, more weekly review. And as Star Citizen 2.0 is out, I stand a chance to see you in the verse.